Hello all, today I wanted to talk about Bachmann's new announcements. This is sort of a non-scripted video and just looking through the catalogue of the new products that have been announced for 2023. I believe what we're looking at here won't release in 2023, but we'll certainly dive into that in a bit. So obviously we've just had the release of Bachmann Ryan, which is a really lovely model. I've actually been able to see this model run in person. It looks great. And now we're on to the releases for 2024, I believe, that have been announced mid-year. First off, we'll start things with the HO00 gauge line, and the first thing announced there is Bachmann Stanley, a highly anticipated model, I believe. Since the release of the Great Discovery, all forums and boards for Bachmann have been just dying to see Stanley model. I'm actually quite excited for Stanley. Stanley's CGI counterpart looks pretty much the same to his model form that we saw in Season 12 and the Great Discovery. And I like him as a model. I like his silver. I like the design of Stanley and what he's based off. I always question that silver smoke box, but hey-oh, you know, that was a team choice there. Now, Stanley is due to come in at a suggested price of $169, which is quite expensive. He's also due to have the moving eyes, which is, you know, something that pretty much all the engines have, those eye mechanisms, apart from BO, which is the new engine, which is just a retooling of a already made Bachmann model. And I'm looking forward to seeing Stanley. I don't know if I'll buy him personally. I think that might depend just how good he looks. I've got an example here of a custom-made Stanley, and I personally think this looks so good. The metallic finish on this custom here, and I don't know whether I don't know how shiny this Stanley's going to look. Obviously, it's got to be a little bit clunkier as well, just due to Bachmann being able to sell these for younger people. But I'm looking forward to it. I reckon, obviously there's not going to be any of those handrails. They'll probably be molded on. However, they did do handrails for Ryan, so it'll be very interesting to see if they do that. But Stanley has loads of parts, and I look forward to actually seeing his prototype, to be honest, as I think he is quite an exciting character to have, and I know there are many Thomas fans here in the community who are absolutely going to be jumping on the first chance to get Stanley. Then they've also announced a few wagons for the HO scale, so we've sort of left the truck area now for rolling stock. So the first thing we've got is the normal 12-ton van in grey, like you see in the CGI series, at a suggested price of $40 for all these vans. This is an interesting one. These are sort of based on the meat van designs, I think, but actually those meat vans usually have 3 vents, so it might be a bit different here. But I think these are what we saw in the CGI series for most vans that were used. It's just the basic render they had. They're nice vans. I think Bachmann will do a good job with these. They do a good job with their trucks. I think their trucks have some very cool designs. Interesting that this will be one of the first things they release without a face. Probably, won't buy this. Probably won't buy any of these vans, actually. Just due to the fact that I've got my own ones made out of card kits and, plastic kits and stuff like that. Then they've also announced 2 of the Funfair wagons. It's very interesting actually seeing Funfair wagons now, because I haven't seen any Funfair stuff since Hornby's range of Funfair items, where they used to do all those wagons and vans. But here we've got now Bachmann finally jumping onto that design, which is, I'm surprised it didn't happen years and years ago. So there's a Funfair blue and a Funfair red. They're pretty identical, just with the different color patterns. I actually don't remember seeing these in the show. I think my mind is delusional to thinking that the Hornby wagons are how they looked in the show. I can't remember if they did look like the Hornby ones in the show. These ones look like they're from a later season though, because the Hornby ones are based off the season 8 ones, I believe. These look, just by the colour grade, they look like they're much later on but I'm not too sure. Then there's also the Christmas Reef van, which is the same model there then as the 12-ton, and I'm pretty sure the Funfair Red and the Funfair Blue are probably going to use the same model here as well. This Christmas Reef van was used in a Wubber episode, I think. I don't recall it being in the normal show before the soft reboot. And this is nice, obviously, for people who have their Christmas Thomas items. That's going to look great going around, you know, especially when you have Thomas with the snowplow and all. So yeah, I can understand why this could appeal to people, but none of these I will personally buy of these wagons. I'll be more, you know, more leaning on Stanley here. And then there's also been an announcement of the first road vehicle for years. In fact, I don't think a road vehicle has been announced since Jeremy, is it? I mean, can you count him as a road vehicle? Probably not, but you know, we've got Jeremy, Bertie and Terrence, but now Bulgy is being announced, which is going to be super interesting as Bachmann are now releasing, I think the Fat Controller's car is due to come out soon, along with scaled figures of Fireman Driver, the Fat Controller, Lady Hat, and a few others. So I'm not sure if Bulgy is being released to work alongside these figures. Maybe, you know, he'll have like an open roof feature where you can put your figures inside. I'm not too sure, but I am looking forward to seeing Bulgy. Obviously, he'll have his CGI design, I assume. I may potentially buy him as he's a good character to have. Depends how his design looks. No price announced on Bulgy, but I can't imagine he'd be more than $40. So we'll just have to wait on that factor. Now we move into the 009 stuff, so the narrow gauge engines, and Duncan has finally been announced. I think we all knew it was gonna be coming. We've got the release of Sahandel hopefully by the end of this year, or if not the start of next year. It's been a while since Sahandel was announced, and I'm very excited to see how he looks. As for Duncan, I'm not too sure. I'm really not a fan of his CGI design. You know, I'm very much a classic series purist. I would say I like, you know, 1 to 5, maybe 6 or 7. There's a few characters I'll include, but I'm very much a 1 to 5 series 1 to 5 man. So obviously Duncan's CGI design looks nothing like his original design. I'm a big fan of Duncan's return in the show. I'm glad they brought him back, but obviously because I believe it's because Douglas wasn't at the Talyllyn Railway when Nitrogen did the renders, and that's the actual only reason he didn't appear in Blue Mountain Mystery, is because he was Douglas wasn't at the railway. So ARC just sort of gave it their own go without going to the Talyllyn, and that's why he just looks completely different to the rest. Obviously this model is going to look like his CGI appearance. I don't know why anyone would think he'd look different, you know, based on how Rusty looked as well. He was based around his CGI design and just scaled down incredibly small. But Duncan definitely will be based on that, because that's just what Mattel are going to want to release now, is the CGI looking stuff, you know, unless it's something that hasn't appeared in the CGI series before. And I think that's why we got models like Daisy, because, you know, I don't think we'd ever have got a Daisy if she hadn't appeared in the CGI series. And I think that's why characters like Stepney's the main one that everyone wants, but I don't think we'll ever see a Stepney, just due to him being so, you know, unpresent in the CGI series. Anyway, bit of a side note there, I do apologise, but Duncan, I think the best way I'm going to go about Duncan is, because I do want to start doing 009 stories. I've got Scarloey, Rheneas and Peter Sam, and I've got a custom Sahandel that I've made, but I will be buying the final product from Bachmann. But I think what I'm going to do with stuff like Rusty and Duncan is custom them and use the T-Doc designs on Shapeways. If anyone's interested in seeing those on Shapeways, I can put a link in the description for you to check those out. They're great models. I bought the Sahandel one a few years ago before he was announced, and they're really, really good models, very, very accurate to the TV series. And I believe his Duncan one works with a N-scale Percy chassis, and it really just depends if you're wanting to go for CGI or if you want to go for classic series. It's really up to you. I think everyone is entitled to prefer whichever version of Duncan that they want, Also in narrow gauge then, we had announced the Gunpowder Wagons, which is a really, really rogue one in my opinion, because we haven't seen these since Series 4, and obviously we only remember seeing this defused one, is what they call it, in black, the classic one that Ertl released years and years ago. Be very interesting to see those. I believe that currently there is also a load of rolling stock coming out for the 009 range, which I believe is all for the Blue Mountain Quarry, I believe. I think having the release of wagons is just a really good thing. We need more wagons. But the interesting thing here with the Gunpowder Wagons I'm finding is, obviously we've got the classic one coming out, but then there's also grey and tan, which I assume due to the lack of pictures as well, and I can't recall them, never appeared in the TV series. So I'm very interested to see how these look, if they're going to say the same writing on the side. I assume they'd be by the same company, so, meant to be the Sodal company there. So it'll be interesting to see them in grey and tan. All of the 009 stuff that's currently just been announced have no price announcement. We're just shipping in 2024 alongside the same as everything else. Now we move on to the N-scale line. There's some cool things coming out in N-scale. We have got Diesel and Paxton coming out, and I think these were only a matter of time. Obviously Diesel and Paxton will share the same molds, to do them together like how they did with their large scale models makes perfect sense really. These are going for a suggested price of $159. I know a good friend who's big into the N-scale line. He recently just got his hands on Toby, and he's very excited for Gordon and Emily's releases. I think the Gordon one is looking really, really good from the most recent pictures we've seen. And Paxton and Diesel are great characters. I've never been a fan of Paxton's HO model just due to the face, but hopefully that problem, because of because they'll have no moving eyes, hopefully that face will be fixed in the N-scale model. I'll also be intrigued to see they're showing now here for their N-scale line a picture of Diesel with the grumpy Diesel face. So I'll be interested to see if the N-scale model is going to have the grumpy face then, which I'm not opposed to. It's nice to not just have the Bachmann engines having just smiling faces. Sometimes them having, unique expressions is actually quite nice. I think Diesel's the only one who has that, but obviously it's suited very much for him. So these two, they'll obviously share the same molds, so they can easily be done together then. It's just a case of their paintwork being different. And then we move on to the final things that have been announced, and those are Gordon's Express coaches and brake coaches. No price announced on these, but obviously with Gordon's release, they're going to look great running alongside him. And I assume they'll very much just be scaled down versions of the HO ones. But I'm not too sure. Maybe they'll do something different. Maybe they'll make them a bit thinner. Maybe they'll make them more accurate to the CGI series. They've got to remold them. I don't know. But that would be very interesting to see. I'm actually excited to see those. I think they're the first coaches, apart from Annie and Clarabelle, getting released in the N-scale line. So that is exciting. And all the N-scale stuff is also due to ship in 2024. However, based on what we've seen with Bachmann in previous years, I'd say these might be end of 2024, start of 2025 for some of these, just based on how long we waited for Ryan and Zahandle. But sometimes then Bachmann do the strange rogue thing where it comes really, really quickly. So I think it all depends on which ones have the suggested prices. So stuff like Stanley is probably going to come before Duncan, and I think the N-scale stuff will probably come before Duncan. But anyway, we've got the release of Zahandle at the end of the year, so or at some point soon. So that's what I'm waiting on at the moment. But those are Bachmann's new announcements. What do you think of Bachmann's new announcements? Are you excited? Are you disappointed? Please let me know in the comments below. I'd be very intrigued to hear your opinions. I look forward to seeing what Bachmann does after this, and I also look forward to seeing their prototype designs. It's going to be very, very exciting over the course of the next year or so. Anyway, I will leave you to it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts and opinions.
Thank you very much for watching. This video wouldn't have been possible without my loyal patrons. £1 a month and I do extra videos with some additional extras. Link in the description. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing or even leaving a like and a comment. It really does help the channel. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I shall see you in the next one.